Good morning, everybody. I think we'll get started. There might still be some more coming in, but we'll get started. And welcome to session 24 of Marketing for the Manufacturers series. I am Becky Haushold, and I'm the Communication Director for Midwest Manufacturers Association and our 4 affiliates, which include the Arrowhead Manufacturers and Fabricators Association, Tri-State Manufacturers Association, the Red River Manufacturers and Engineers Association, and Central Minnesota Manufacturers Association. So welcome, everybody. Our session today is on print marketing, connecting with your customers through mail and mass mailings. Our presenter is Chris Dolney. Chris is the founder and CEO of FaceTime Business Resources. After spending 10 years in the printing industry, Chris decided to take a break, but ultimately knew there was a better way and more client-friendly way to sell commercial printing, promotional products, logoed apparel, and signage. On July 1st, 2011, Chris opened FaceTime Business Resources and currently serves clients throughout Minnesota and the entire US. He has offices in St. Cloud and Brainerd, as well as sales presence in Rochester and Cheyenne, Wyoming. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Like I mentioned to Becky already this morning, I don't have a PowerPoint for you, so we're not going to have to deal with all that screen sharing, mostly because tech is just not my thing. I just don't like it, right? But I like this. So we're just gonna talk, and I hope I don't bore you to death. Definitely be time for some questions at the end, but if you have a burning question during, I will not be offended in the least if you interrupt with a question. So like Becky said, I own FaceTime Business Resources. I'm here in our St. Cloud, Minnesota office today, although I live up in Nisswa. So I spend time both in our Brainerd location and our St. Cloud location. Made the actually not so treacherous drive down a little late this morning to start the day. So yeah, we've been in business for actually about 11 and a half years now already. And what we're talking about today, which is the paper print side of our business, including direct mail, is really my background, my passion, and the largest kind of percentage of our business if we broke down those product categories that Becky talked about. So that's a bit about me. Direct mail, I think certainly 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, I think we kind of all heard the death toll of direct mail, and everything was going to email marketing, right? And SEO marketing, and all of those things are great and important, but direct mail and its impact have really made a comeback since the pandemic, and even a little bit before that, as a really effective piece of a marketing mix. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. I'm going to go over a few really exciting facts this morning based on surveys and industry information that we're kind of privy to in our world. So there's 15 facts. I'm going to give you the Cliff's Notes version of them because more details are available from me if you want it. Also, as we'll mention after the fact, after the meeting, reach out to me if you're looking for more information, details, stuff like that. Info to back up my jabber at the end of this. So to start out with, the direct mail advertising market grew again in 22 to over $72.67 billion in sales. According to Global Newswire, the average return on investment for direct mail is $4.09 for every $1.27 spent. The average response rate for direct mail is between 2.7% and 4.4%, compared to an average of 0.6% on email. 73% of American consumers prefer being contacted by brands via direct mail because they can read it at their own convenience. It doesn't fall off that first page of emails or go into junk mail, which with today's spam filters, I filter out as much of that stuff as I can, although we use it too. More than 40% of direct mail recipients read or at least scan the direct mail that they get. 84% of the Gen Z market have received a direct mail piece with a QR code on it to interact with the brand online, watching a video, going to a landing page with sales information, etc. And nearly 40% of these campaigns used direct mail and generated a profitable ROI. And that's something that I'll talk about more, is kind of linking your online marketing with your direct mail marketing. I think that's really important. So QR codes, if I've made a comeback, we'll talk about that. It says nearly 90% of millennials love receiving mail. It fits with their affinity for physical media, like vinyl records, for example. That's made a comeback. I think it's kind of the same idea. The study revealed that 57% of millennials acted on direct mail offers. That's seems a little high to me, but we'll go with it, right? 2/3 of Gen X consumers say they have a positive impression of companies that send out relevant marketing mail. So it says while overall mail rates declined, this is from 20 to 21, total direct mail volume increased by 28%. Direct mail volume has increased in the US, up from 67 million in 2020 to over 70 million in 2021. How do you do it? Postcards have increased in popularity. Part of that is postage costs, while envelope packages have dropped. So think about quick messages on postcards. We'll talk about that a little bit more. There was a 49% increase in sales and a 125% increase in customer inquiries who received both email marketing and physical direct mail marketing, like a postcard or even a catalog. So again, that combination is important. A survey of more than 500 marketers found that almost 2/3 see good or positive ROI from direct mail campaigns. Again, that's from marketing companies. More than 70% of Gen X consumers feel that mail is more personal than online digital communications, and they're more likely to read promotional mail than email. And then the last thing, 1/3 of consumers report feeling overwhelmed by tech during COVID. We can probably all relate to that. Parents and adults working from home report feeling overwhelmed at even higher rates. So this is why they're kind of reverting to physical mail over more email. Okay, so that's a lot of facts. Hopefully not too many of you just logged out and started doing something else during that. Anyway, so let's talk about a few things that I really wanted to hit on there. One being the QR codes. This is another thing. QR codes kind of came into the world 7-8 years ago, maybe a little longer. But you had to have a specific app, a specific QR code reader to use it. So they kind of faded away. Not everybody had the right thing. Then a few years ago, the technology changed. Anybody with a smartphone can just use their camera feature, take a picture of QR code, and it takes you where you want. Obviously, during the pandemic, a lot of menus at restaurants when they reopened kind of went that way. So it became really common. Utilizing QR codes you saw it during Super Bowl commercials, right? Just a QR code, scan this, and how many millions of people did that across the country. I did not, didn't know where I was going, didn't do it. But on your postcard emails, if you've got a great online video, a great online sales presentation, an online survey, opportunities like that to interact online with your customers or your prospects, potential employees even, about the benefits of working for you, sending out direct mail with a QR code to get them there is an excellent idea. I believe in, again, connecting those pieces. So let's talk about some purposes of direct mail. This is just kind of a list. New markets. One thing that our company is doing when we opened our physical office in the Brainerd Lakes area market is we are still in the process of sending out a series of 5 direct mail postcards with an offer. One was a general introduction to who we are. We're here. An offer of a $10 gift card to a local restaurant if they took a meeting with us. It's worked well. The second one was talking about our print category with an offer of $50 off your first print order. Then there'll be a promotional product one about that with an offer, an apparel one, a signage one, etc. about all the categories. So you're getting some repetition, a good introduction to us along with what we're doing with community involvement, email marketing, which we do use, etc. So new market, product launch. Our actual largest kind of client sector that uses direct mail is manufacturers. We work with a couple of larger manufacturers in our various markets that very frequently use direct mail when they talk about new product launches, a new machine, a new capability, something like that. We help them research and generate mail lists from our mail list suppliers that are going to match those folks, potential clients that they're looking at. They introduce products that way. General awareness and branding. Probably should have talked about this first. Reintroducing your company to your potential client base, a great use. Old school physical catalogs, right? but probably not that 300-page thick catalog that we all get in every Uline shipment, because that's going to cost a fortune in postage. But mini catalogs that talk about certain sectors of your product line can work out really well. Maybe promoting that you're either going to be at an industry trade show to past trade show attendees, or recapping that you were at a trade show to those folks that were there. Trade shows are coming back big time again now, thank goodness for all of us. And frequently you can get that list of attendees from the trade show organizers, and a follow-up piece is either a pre-introduction piece, stop by our booth for this, or a follow-up piece saying it was great to meet you at the trade show is a great way to kind of re-interact. We all know it takes more than once to obtain a new client. Maybe you're going to do a webinar like this and you want to promote it and send out some information. A great way to do that is to send something with it. You've maybe heard about bump email. You're promoting a webinar. Maybe you include a notepad or a pen in the mail piece promoting the webinar. A very creative thing that our local college did that I think works in this situation too is they mailed out a branded packet of microwave popcorn to students who they were going to who they were recruiting or who were coming in for a tour. As a, we're looking forward to seeing you. Here's a microwave popcorn along with a link to a video about the college. It makes it kind of an experience. Folks these days are really into experiential pieces, so I think that's a great way to use direct mail. So those are some purposes. Now it gets complicated, right? I talked a little bit about obtaining lists. You have lists, great. We can help with lists, as can other print and marketing companies. There's a lot of great ways to break down demographics that way, whether it be consumer-based, business-to-business based, you name it. Gets complicated now with different types of mail. First class mail with stamp, great. That works really well for sending out a single piece. Maybe you're sending out a thank you card for something you just did. Physical thank you cards are also really important again, because they kind of stand out in the crowd other than a thank you email. Thank you email, but man, if you can send a physical thank you card in the mail after a purchase or a chat with a client, do it. So then that's first class, that's basic. But then it breaks down to pre-sort first class, pre-sort standard, which is what we call bulk. And then it's not that new anymore, but a lot of people still don't use it. It's called every door direct mail, EDDM. Some of you probably are using it. If you're marketing to consumers, I think it's a great, inexpensive way to do it. You don't have to get mailing lists. The postage is cheap, changes a lot, but let's call it 19 cents a piece. It's probably a little bit lower than that. There are some size restrictions, etc. But basically the way this works is you're choosing postal routes within given zip codes, covering the entire postal route. You do business and residential or just residential. And it's just packaged up that way. If there are 572 addresses in a given postal route, that's how many you take to the post office with some specific postal work, or your printer takes it to the post office. And it just covers everything. It's called every door direct mail, EDDM. We can tell you more about that down the line. Pre-sort standard bulk, I mentioned, is also inexpensive. Their rates change all the time, so I'm not going to tell you rates. But you have to have a mailing list. It has to be pre-sorted. That's why it's called pre-sort standard to postal regulations. There's paperwork involved, etc. But again, your printer, a company like us, can help you handle all those things to really get more bang for your buck, pay less postage, which is the hurdle on this. You know, generally when we talk about this, the print piece, whether it's a catalog, whether it's a postcard, etc., actually ends up being probably the least expensive piece of cost there. The postage is more, but there are ways to reduce those costs with EDDM and then pre-sort standard. The other downside with pre-sort standard is how long it takes. The Postal Service's line is there's no standard of service for pre-sort standard mail, which means if they have a busy week, it can sit in the back in the warehouse for a week up to 2 weeks before it actually leaves and goes out and gets distributed. So you do want to plan for about a 2-week time. It's hard to plan the exact drop date on pre-sort standard mail. There is an in-between, which is pre-sort first class. The rates are slightly higher, which makes a lot of sense. But it's pre-sorted, but it goes out at the same standard of service as your regular first class. So it's going to go up pretty quickly. So think about that. Any of these, of course, require mail permits. Some of you probably have your own permits. That's cool. But your printing company or a company like us, etc., also generally has all of the permits that you might need. as well as all of the software interface to work with NCOA. I should probably know what that stands for. I don't. I'm gonna look into that. NCOA is a postal database that it can run through to pick up bad addresses, undeliverables, duplicates, all of those kind of things, and then edit that list so you're not mailing it to people that don't exist or aren't even there, and then comes back to you so you can correct the lists on your ends. A lot of companies also offer list management service, which is a whole nother thing we're not going to talk about. So that's kind of the deal with the permits. So a really important piece on direct mail is the actual design, because you want folks to read it. And the key there is your purpose. We talked about purposes earlier. We talked about new markets, product launches, basic branding, follow up from a trade show, etc. Getting great design is going to increase your readability every time. Or readability is not the word I was looking for. Your read percentage every time. How many people are looking at it? Obviously, it's really easy to track email marketing. That's why it's done well. If you're using MailChimp, Constant Contact, another program, you're getting your reports of here's how many people opened it, here's how many people clicked on it, etc. With physical direct mail, it's a little bit harder to do that. So when we do it, we always keep an offer. But again, in fact, actually, this is literally just by chance that I have this here. This is the intro postcard that we sent, introducing ourselves in a new market, $10 to a local establishment, a little bit about us, etc. I probably tend to put a little bit of too much information on a card, something I avoid. It's easy to tell clients you're putting too much information on your card, nobody's going to read it. When I do my own, I put way too much information in the card, but we did actually get a pretty good response rate from number one. So it's still a way to go, even if you put too much information on it like I do. So questions so far before I continue? I'll just offer that opportunity. Okay, excellent. So I would encourage, as next steps, if you're looking at using direct mail, refining your direct mail program, maybe you're already doing something, but you're not getting the responses you need. Our company is really happy to help you, even to just review what you've done. And this is free. Talk about what you've done, talk about what you could do differently. I'm sure your local print company, the design folks that you use, are really happy to sit down and talk with you as well about what you're doing, if you're not getting results you want, how you could revise it, etc. Is it a design issue? Is it a list issue? Is it a content issue? What's happening? And how can you change it? Our company is so we say our company motto is convenience of one source, cost savings of many. And one of our goals is always to really make the most out of our clients' marketing budget when it comes to whether that's buying promo products or sending direct mail, putting your logo on shirts, whatever it is. So when we sit down and look at your direct mail and your budget, maybe there are some small tweaks you can make to either maybe it makes that mail piece fit into a little bit better or less expensive postage category with the post office. Let's talk about that. Maybe there's an opportunity where your print cost wouldn't change, but you could increase the size and your postage wouldn't change. Are you maximizing that? Because, yep, with direct mail, frequently bigger is better. It gets noticed. What adjustments can be made to make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck on direct mail, because postage is expensive. You do need an ROI, and you need to watch for that. So I think that would be your first step if you're looking at either changing your direct mail. If you're looking at starting a direct mail program, then it's the same thing. It's about, first of all, what's your goal? Who can you talk to talk about how to achieve that goal? A company like ours, your local printing company, your graphic design agency, whoever that might be, to really talk through, where am I going? How many pieces do I need to print to reach postal requirements? For example, for pre-sort standard, you can't send to 100. You got to have at least 200 pieces. Okay, but probably you can send, if you're a small company wanting to start out, you can send 200 pieces using reduced postage rate on pre-sort standard with a very minimal print cost increase. Probably the same total cost as you would send 100 pieces using regular first class postage. So think those things through, talk those things through, find somebody who can help. You know your industry, people like me and others in our business know ours and know how to help. So again, reach out to an expert there. So that's step one. Identify your audience. Think about, are you talking to your existing clients? reminding them of something new, reintroducing yourself, or are you needing client acquisition? And if you're needing client acquisition, then let's dig into who's your ideal client and where can we find them and how can we reach those people more than once. A combination of email, direct mail, put a QR code, do more than one piece. Tip there on the more than one piece too that I wanted to mention earlier. If you can really plan ahead, if you're going to do a series, say, of 4 postcards you're going to mail out to your client base or to a prospect list, print them all at once, even though you're going to maybe only mail one a month or one every 3 weeks or whatever that is. A great way to save money is printing all 4 of the cards at the same time. Takes a little more planning because you got to have all the design done, but it might be something you're doing anyway. And almost always it's going to reduce your print cost. So something to think about there. I am coming to the end of my prepared remarks. So I will be happy to pass it back to Becky to open it up for any questions at this point.
Okay, do we have any questions from anybody? Got a quiet group today.
Yeah, I've got a question.
All right.
What kind of planning would you do if you're doing a direct mail piece to trade show attendees after the show? I mean, I know the last show we've attended, people can scan their badge, we can get all the information, send out emails too. I mean, do you got a design ahead of time in mind that you're thinking of, or?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. I think the change there is, yeah, sure, people have the opportunity, you scan their badge, et cetera, or they have some information. You want to make sure that that you're the ones taking the initiative, right? So assuming maybe you won the trade show organizers give you the full list, that's ideal. If not, and maybe that's one piece, but also folks who have expressed interest during the trade show at your booth or what have you, you've scanned their badge, so you've got a list of people that are really interested, right? So what I would do then is probably a general piece to everybody who attended that you've designed that maybe even has a picture of your booth because you want it to be you want it to connect in their head as to who you are. They maybe saw 200 exhibitors that day. So let's make it personal, get a picture of your booth, the folks that worked your booth there, but then, also an offer. Thank you for attending. Let's connect. Here's how you can reach us. We'd love to reach you, those kinds of things. Now, if you also have that list of maybe, I don't know how big your shows are, but 30 or 100 or 200 people who specifically express some interest at your event, then I think you take it to the next level and do that piece of bumpy mail that is in an envelope that has another little promo product from your company, a little better offer, or request to meet with a salesperson, whatever that might be, et cetera, to show them that you're active and you want to follow up. Because if you can do that maybe before some of your competitors do, or a little better than some of your competitors do, or get noticed a little better than your competitors do, I think you're going to have all the advantage. I highly think the idea of a picture of the folks that were at the trade show and your trade show booth is great, especially for those who expressed interest, because it puts it front of mind and they remember who you were.
Sure. Would you recommend just getting that mail out ASAP, as soon as the show's over?
Yeah, I mean, because you got to think, especially if it's a national show, it could take a week, it could take 2 weeks for mail to happen. So I think you go to print as soon as you get images from the show. You go to print like the day after, the day after the show's done, so that, in a week and a half or something, this thing's out in the mail. So when people have been back to their office for 2 weeks after attending, this is showing up in their mail. You don't want this to be 2 months later because that's, they've forgotten about it.
Sure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I see there are some questions on chat too. Let's see if I can open that. Do I know what I'm doing? Yeah. There's a question. What are your thoughts about print and digital integration? Yeah, that's a really great question. And I will admit, I'm not the expert in our company about that. We have those folks, but I think, are you talking about integrating your digital marketing with your print marketing, where you're incorporating QR codes and pieces like that? I think that's super ideal. I think you got to do it. I think you got to use your print to drive people to your online presence. A postcard can't say everything. You can say a lot more on your website. You can say a lot more with a video. So I highly recommend doing that. Would love to talk more about that. Another question from Kyle: envelope mailings. Do you find that open rate changes depending on the type of postage used? For example, does a physical stamp versus a pre-sort barcode matter? I don't think it does. I don't think most mail recipients, especially consumers, maybe a little bit less so on the business side, but are taking the time to look that closely. I think your open rates are going to be pretty close. We work with a company here locally that actually does some handwritten stuff. Maybe you've heard of them. I think their business is changing a little bit based on the fact that people are just opening their mail more than they used to. I don't know. I think they're interested to receive it. I think it's a refreshing change from the barrage of emails that folks get. So I wouldn't worry a whole lot about physical stamp versus pre-sort barcode. Pre-sort barcode, my perspective there. Anybody else? Well, I think go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, what are you using for lists to get good, accurate information to send to customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the primary resource that we use to obtain lists is a company called AccuData, AccuLeads, and they have a variety of different sources where they generate lists, business versus residential. There are other companies just like them out there. I think they have great pricing and their lists have been really accurate, but they update it really frequently. The key there is, to me, in generating lists is having a really specific set of demographics. We'll talk about manufacturers. Is it manufacturers in North Dakota that have at least 40 employees? Maybe it's even more specific than that. Is it residential? Is it people that have one child between the ages of 5 and 15 or in their homes? I don't know. So I think the key to getting a good list is really trying to narrow down as specifically as you can on who you're talking to, and then you get a pretty accurate list.
Thank you.
I'm assuming maybe Becky would email out or get my contact information to the attendees in case you have any other questions that come to you afterwards. If you want to throw me an email or a phone call, either way, our team's always here and happy to help you out.
Okay, I have a couple questions actually. So if you are having a product launch, what kind of direct mail would you recommend, and timing as well?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Timing is so important, and that is like the $1 million question. If there was a perfect answer there, because you want to get the word out soon, but you don't want to put the cart before the horse either, because that can, in manufacturing world, that can really cause some problems. So it really kind of depends on your sales cycle, manufacturing cycle, et cetera, as far as the timing. And it's probably more of a customized answer. But type of piece for a product launch, in my opinion, like we talked about postcards earlier, as opposed to a full catalog or an envelope piece, I think a product launch just goes on a postcard. And because I think the most important thing, because the thing with a postcard there is they don't even have to open anything. Even if they throw it away in the first 60 seconds, at least they're seeing this. They're seeing your company logo. They're probably seeing the name of the product, the image of the product. Maybe you even have a specific logo for this product, or maybe you're manufacturing machines and this is a certain machine. So different there. So I really think a postcard, so that they're at least getting their eyes on your product before they throw the piece away. So that's what I would encourage is that if you have a product where you really want to build up for it, like coming soon, we're working on something, there's great things coming, then you kind of do a series compared to, hey, it's here, it's available, here's how you get it, here's how you learn more about it. I think this is a real opportunity as well to connect that digital marketing, a video, for example, with the physical marketing, because we've got this new product coming, scan our QR code to go to a video about it, or go to a sales presentation about it, or whatever that might be.
Right, thanks. Nice,
Yeah.
nice answer. Anybody else with any questions?
Chris, do you have capabilities of doing dynamic or personalized QR codes where individual recipients have their own code, or like a pearl that goes along with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So these things are all in today's world very, very trackable now. you can set it such that each QR code is, you know, a little bit different. This is tech stuff. But so that you as the mailer and the list owner can know specifically who is scanning that QR code, right? So you know that, you know, Ben Johnson from ABC Company got this thing and they scanned the video because it's a unique code. Another thing that I didn't even talk about that I probably should have is beyond, you know, maybe a step before the personalized QR codes is personalizing the mail so that it says, hey, Ben, we want to meet with you, or hey, Ben, it was great to see you. So that the actual text on the postcard or inside the envelope or whatever matches the name on the outside of the envelope or the name on the address. So it's personalized. It wakes people up and people take a look at it. And there's lots of ways to personalize that. You know, first names, company names, it was great to see you at X event, whatever. And that's all about just building the spreadsheet and the database properly so that that information flows accurately onto the piece for personalization. That always is going to increase read rates, open rates, response rates, etc. And then you're able to follow up too if you know who scanned, who opened, who used, who cashed in a coupon or an offer, etc.
Thank you.
Any other
So
questions?
again, yeah, I'm available anytime. Our team is, you know, this is what our team does. We can help you out from design and concept through print, through handling the permits and the mail list, through the mail, and you don't have to touch it. You don't have to touch it. And there's a lot of companies like ours out there. We'd love an opportunity to talk with anybody who would like to learn more.
All right, thanks. Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you everybody for joining us. The recording will be posted to our YouTube channel, and the code or the link will be sent out in an email to you all tomorrow. So thank you for attending, and watch for our communications about the next coming session 25. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.